Hey everybody, it's Wing Rider. Maintenance day. There's the old 140 Farmall. I've been having some problems with it lately. Normally it runs perfect, but it's got an old Zenith carburetor on it. And it's leaking a little bit and it's got some issues. What happened was, normally when I start it, I'll choke it a little bit. It starts right up. But I turn the fuel on. No choke, go to start it and it floods. So I turn the fuel back off and I have to wait and turn it and finally it'll sputter and spit and it'll take off. Then I turn the fuel back on. So I've got a kit to rebuild that today. There's a 1951 Model A John Deere. This one here is just pretty much perfect in every way. I've done a lot of work to it, but I bought this one pretty much restored, and I've done some work to it. And there's a 1939 Model B. It was just complete junk, and I restored that one. Been several years ago. 1944 M Farmall. I rebuilt the carburetor on it because it had an issue, and then I thought, well, it's sucking air somewhere. Is what it was, so it's not drawing fuel. I took the manifold off and the gasket was just petrified and the metal was eaten up inside there. So I put a new gasket on it, but it didn't seal it. So it needs a new intake exhaust manifold on it. And that's what'll fix that. Back there's a 1936 Model B John Deere. That my father acquired that in 1976 from the original owner, and he restored it, and about 30 years ago I restored it again, but it's hard to start and my back is crap. And there's a caster wheel sickle bar mower for this tractor, my Model A, but I've got the carb kit that came in for the Zenith carburetor, and I'm going to rebuild that. And I also got that snapper mower that I bought new and gave it to my niece. There's a video on it. And about 10 years ago, she thought the engine blew up in it. What happened is the flywheel key sheared and threw the timing off. So I fixed that, and I've been using it. And the front end has got these plastic bushings, and it's all loose and the wheels lock when you try to turn. So I got a kit to redo that. So I'm going to pull this carburetor off of the 140. It's a 1967 140 Farmall. Not too long ago, oil started leaking out through the axle here. Well, it's dry in here, and there's a seal, an inner seal for the transmission, and where the axle goes in, there's an inner seal in there. So I had to pull this whole side of the tractor off to replace that inner seal, and I replaced that one, which was a whole lot easier. But all of this on the side of the tractor, I had to take all of that apart, take it all off, and replace those seals. The transmission was almost dry. I didn't even notice it, and it had been leaking for several years, but now it's all dried up and everything's fine. But it doesn't smoke. It runs pretty good for an old tractor. And I had to put a new tire on it here recently. The back tires are good. This one is going to need one before too long. I put a new belt on it. I put new plugs, points, condenser. I just did all that stuff while I was working on the axle seals. But it's time for a carburetor rebuild, so I'm going to do that. So let me get the carburetor off and get it in the shop over here, and then I'll get back with you. See you in a second. You think that it's possible that this carburetor needs to be cleaned? Yeah, I got a kit. I might as well go ahead and clean it. Anyway, I'm just going to bust it out and get it done. It's hot, and I'll get back with you when I get it back on the tractor. Okay, I got the carburetor rebuilt, and I'm in the process of putting it back on. The one part that I hate is the throttle and the choke linkage are behind it back here. So getting them hooked back up, and the cotter keys in there is a pain in the ass. And this one you probably can't see it. That's the choke. I run out of cotter keys, so I'm gonna use this piece of where the hell? There. I'm gonna use this piece of MIG welding wire to go in the hole there, and then bolt it back up. Man, that thing was a nightmare. It was easy to put together, take apart, but it was just nasty. So let me finish putting that on, and I'll get back with you again. Okay, I got it back on, running, adjusted, no leaks anywhere. So I'm back good to go again. I also need to tighten up that bowl a little bit. The sediment bowl was full of crap. This one doesn't have a filter on it per se. It has a sediment bowl. The fuel comes out of the tank right through the center into this bowl, and then goes back up out the line here to the tank. And the trash and water and debris settles in the bowl. That's the way they used to do it years ago. And you can take it off and clean it. Pretty simple, really. So let me cut my fuel, or tighten that bowl up a little bit. I just put a new gasket on it. Other than that, though, everything's good to go. So I got my tractor back running again, and I can go back to mowing and whatever I need to do. Until later, Wang Rider.